world of college football, that means we're talking about the conference championship games. And this weekend is going to be just nuts. We're going to start with the SEC Championship game down in Atlanta. The Georgia Bulldogs and the Auburn Tigers, a rematch of 3 weeks ago when Auburn just beat the bejesus out of the Bulldogs. Bulldogs came in as a big favorite, came in undefeated. Auburn hasn't lost or been specifically challenged that much since then. And they're coming off pretty much doing the same thing to Alabama they did to Georgia. I would imagine in a lot of people's minds, especially Auburn fans, they are a prohibitive favorite. Kind of depends on whether or not they'll have everybody at full strength health-wise. Kerryon Johnson, their running back specifically. But I see Auburn winning this and Auburn moving on as the SEC champ into the college football playoff. Next up on our list of college matchups for this coming weekend is the ACC Championship up in Charlotte, where it'll be the Clemson Tigers against the Miami Hurricanes, the old U that, was almost back until last week when they lost at Pittsburgh, undefeated going in there. Same as it was 10 years ago when Rich Rodriguez in West Virginia came into Pittsburgh against another 4-7 team and again lost then as they did last week. So Miami now sitting at 11-1, Clemson 11-1. I would make personally Clemson about a touchdown favorite in this game. Both defenses are really good. Both offenses I don't think are equally as adept. I think Clemson has an edge, especially later in the year, especially when you get into games in December and January, where they have thrived the last couple of years, specifically last year, being the defending national champion. I think Clemson wins this one by about a field goal. All right, next up on our hit parade when it comes to games is going to be the Big 12 championship game. Yeah, that'll be a fun one. Oklahoma and TCU. Now, it was a few weeks back these same teams played, and Oklahoma just beat their butts. I believe the score was 38-20. Don't see things being significantly different in results-wise outside of the margin. I just don't think Oklahoma will beat them by that much. Oklahoma has a big edge on the offensive side of the ball. I don't care how well anybody plays offensively for TCU. They just don't put up enough points to hang with Baker Mayfield and the Oklahoma Sooners. So I make Oklahoma a prohibitive favorite. They win by about 2 touchdowns to me. And this is a relatively medium scoring game. So I'm looking at like 35-21 kind of a score with OU coming out on top. Next up on our schedule of games here for college in this weekend's conference championship, the Big Ten championship, featuring the team nobody respects. Nobody gives Wisconsin much credit. They talk about their defense. You don't hear much about, Paul Chryst, their head coach. You don't hear much about Hornibrook, their quarterback. You don't hear much about them at all as far as being very good. They're referred to as a weak schedule kind of a team that's undefeated, playing Ohio State, who the College Football Playoff Committee desperately wants to get in the playoff. And if they win this game, beating an undefeated Wisconsin, they very well may do that. But I think there's still a chance the Big Ten champion, if it's Ohio State, doesn't get in the playoff. And I think Wisconsin's going to win this game. I think they win at 23-20, right around there, 2017. It'll be about a field goal game. But Wisconsin comes out on top with that defense being the big difference in the game. And the last of our 5 matchups championship weekend in the Big 5 is the Rose Bowl. Not the Rose Bowl, you dummy. It's the Pac-12 championship, which will be in Santa Clara at Levi Stadium between the Trojans and Stanford. Kind of a home game for Stanford. As the crow flies, probably 10, 15 minutes down the road on 101 to Santa Clara to get to this place, to get to the stadium, to get to Levi Stadium. There's a world of difference between these teams. I think Stanford is a real meat and potatoes team, as a lot of them have been since Jim Harbaugh started their comeback many years ago. Stanford's big, they're physical, they grind things out. They're not particularly explosive, which I think hurts them against SC. Jones, the running back, is very good. Sam Darnold has quit throwing all the interceptions. I mean, first 8 games, they had like 19 turnovers. In the last 4 games, they've had 2 or 3. So they've figured out their turnover problem, the Trojans have. And unless they just relapse, I think Trojans win this by about 10 points over Stanford. All right, that'll do it for college football.